It started with a shove, not a warning, not a question, just a hand to my chest that drove me back into a cold airport wall so hard the air left my lungs. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really happening right here in front of everyone, between gate C-17 and a coffee shop that wasn't even open yet. The officer didn't raise his voice, didn't look angry, which somehow made it worse. You know what I mean? He just said, real calm, hands behind your back now. And I did it. I didn't argue, didn't flinch, didn't give him what he probably expected. I just said, sir, I'm just trying to get home. He laughed, not loud, not mean, just confident like someone who's done this before and never paid for it. Yeah, sure you are. He had no idea that in about 12 minutes his whole world was about to crack open, and he definitely didn't know that I was counting time not in legal trouble or paperwork or anything like that, but in minutes to my daughter's high school graduation 3 hours away. That's the thing people miss when they see the video later. They see a uniform, they see cuffs, they see drama, but they don't see what's actually going on inside your head. I wasn't thinking about rank or medals or respect. I was thinking about my kid, about whether I'd walk into that gym late, about whether she'd look out at the crowd and not see me. My name's Daniel Cross. I'm 39, grew up outside El Paso, quiet neighborhood. Nothing special. First in my family to join the military. I signed up at 19 because I believed in the simple version of service: you do your job. You protect the people next to you, and if you're lucky, you come home. 14 years later, I'd been places I can't really talk about, done things that don't show up in neat little stories, buried friends, written letters to parents I never met, learned how to stay calm when everything in your body wants to explode. That calm is the only reason this story didn't end differently. I'd just come back from 8 months overseas, and yeah, I was wearing my dress uniform not to show off, not to make a point, but because my daughter Lily was graduating that afternoon. I wanted to surprise her, walk into the gym in uniform, let her see me and know I made it back. That's all I was thinking about when I walked toward my gate. Then I heard you step aside. Officer Mark Halstead, airport security, 6 years on the job, spotted me from across the terminal and changed direction like he'd been waiting for something. People there knew his name, they whispered about him, other officers joked about it, supervisors pretended not to see it. Random check, they called it, but it never felt random if you were on the wrong side of it. He looked me up and down, took my ID, flipped it over like it offended him. This doesn't look right. It's a military ID, you can verify it. I'll decide what needs verifying. Where'd you get the outfit? The costume. I felt that tight feeling in my chest. Then, not anger, something quieter and sharper. The feeling of being told you don't belong in the skin you earned. Sir, this isn't a costume, I'm active duty Navy. Anyone can say that. I tried to keep it calm. Offered solutions, call the base, call my commander, call anyone. I gave names, numbers, because escalation only makes things worse. But he didn't want answers, he wanted control. Open the bag. Inside was a folded American flag, carefully wrapped, a gift from the family of a teammate I lost the year before. He grabbed it, turned it over, tossed it back like it was nothing. Surplus store too, huh? Please be careful with that. That's when he snapped. Hands behind your back. I said I'd done nothing wrong. He said I was resisting. I said I was complying. Then the shove came fast and hard, my metal scraping concrete, the flag sliding out of the bag and onto the floor. Time slowed the way it does right before everything breaks. An older man near the next gate stood up wearing a faded ball cap with stitched letters pointed at me and said, "That man's military, look at his uniform." A mom pulled her kids closer. Someone gasped. A phone came out, then another, then another. What Halstead didn't know was that one of those phones belonged to a woman who worked 2 floors below the Secretary of Defense, and another belonged to a reporter who covered military affairs and had more followers than this airport had passengers that morning. I stayed still, hands cuffed, heart pounding, thinking about Lily, about being late, about how this would look if my daughter ever saw it. That thought hurt more than the wall. A woman stepped forward, calm, confident, military posture, even in civilian clothes, held up an ID badge and said, "Officer, I work for the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Release him." He didn't even look at her. "Ma'am, step back." She didn't. "That man is Daniel Cross, Senior Chief Special Operations. I've read his file, have you?" He hesitated for just a second, then doubled down. "Rules are rules." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the Pentagon." Other voices joined in, the old veteran, a gate agent who recognized me from past flights, the reporter now filming openly saying, "Those ribbons are real, that pin is real, and you're on camera." I could see Halstead's hands shaking. Supervisors arrived, TSA leadership, local police, and right there in the terminal, surrounded by people pretending not to stare while staring anyway, footage was reviewed. Every claim he made fell apart. Fake ID verified in under 2 minutes. Resistant 6 angles showed none. Random check footage showed him walking past multiple white passengers to stop me. A supervisor took his badge, his radio, his weapon said, "You're done, go home." The cuffs came off. My wrists were numb. Someone apologized. Someone shook my hand. The woman from the Pentagon leaned in and said quietly, "We're getting you home." They arranged a private flight. I made it to the graduation just as Lily walked onto the stage. She saw me, froze, then smiled so wide it almost broke her face. Later that day, the video hit the internet. By nightfall, millions had seen it. By morning, it was everywhere. News channels, social feeds, veterans telling their own stories in the comments, families saying, "This happened to us too." An investigation followed, not the quiet kind, the kind that leaves wreckage. Halstead was fired, lost his pension, banned from federal security work for life. Supervisors suspended leadership, forced out 17 careers, ended or derailed. I settled a civil case and donated part of it to veteran mental health programs. Not because I had to, but because I wanted the next guy to have help I didn't. At a press conference weeks later, I stood in plain clothes, my wife beside me, Lily in the back, and I didn't sound angry, just tired. I said I'd faced gunfire overseas, but standing in an airport being told my uniform was a costume hurt different. Then I said the part people still argue about. I had people, I had witnesses, I had a phone call that mattered, most people don't. And that's the uncomfortable part of this story. Was the officer just doing his job? Was it bias? Was it power unchecked for too long? Here's the question I'll leave you with. If no one had recorded, if no one had spoken up, if I wasn't who I was, how would this have ended? And how many stories like this never get told? Let me know what you think in the comments, argue with me. If you want, tell me if you've seen something like this happen. Because those conversations, that's where the real accountability starts.